assessment, marriage assessment, and then the debrief was quite wonderful. We had a lot of work to do afterwards, and I think our marriage will be the better for it as a result of this weekend.
When we were doing the game, I wanted to win. By all means, I wanted to be told, "Oh, you won." But we didn't win. Initially, I was feeling like, "Oh, okay, you didn't win," and I was almost feeling bad. Then I told myself, "Enjoy life, have fun. Things don't always have to work the way you want them to work."
To be honest with you, some of the things that I have been struggling with in managing homes have been dealt with. I have discovered that almost all homes have issues that they need to settle. Actually, as Christians, we are very good people. We want to have good homes, but then there are differences within a couple, and those differences must be ironed out, settled, for somebody to be able to move on.
For me, I saw a lot of synergy, some lessons in synergy that husband and wife need to learn to do things together. You might not always win, but you can always encourage yourselves. And then the other bit was having natural way of removing stress from our lives, which was very, very helpful. And I think this is a worthwhile thing. Couples should once in a while come out like this, forget about the stress of the city, about all the troubles, and then just have time for themselves to reflect and so on like that. And it's been fun. We thank God.
For me, right from the first day, the activity, I started seeing that everything was intentionally planned such that couples will get to the roots of some of the issues they have. One thing that's going to continue to resonate with me is the fact that mentors also need mentors. We are pastors. People depend on us for so many things, but we do not have people that we depend on. Most of the time, we bottle up things within us or we put them under the carpet. But coming here, as far as marriage issues, marriage counseling is concerned, I think we found a place that we can depend on. And I am going to recommend for other couples, you need to come. When you come, then you can see things for yourself.
It's something I really enjoy. A lot of eye openers, and I think that's something that every couple should get involved in. From time to time, going back and asking this question, I'll recommend it every day to any couple. One thing thank God for the participation of programs. Thank God for the people that answer the blessing to our family. Our family is still people. Give God the glory. Thank you very much.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Trust you have a wonderful day.
So welcome to day 3 of the TeamDinmaNedum 20th wedding anniversary Love-A-Thon. And today we will be going deeper. We are looking at fighting together, weathering the storms. And just like, in life, all eventualities happen. And we're so looking forward to having a time together with our moderator, Amina Yusuf Ali, who unfortunately is under the weather and she cannot join us today. So I just want to tell all of us to remember her in our prayers and just ask that God will restore her back to good health. And isn't that a good way to start? Not a good way that she's not feeling fine, but hey, a good way that all eventualities happen in marriages, and sometimes somebody has to give 100%. And so today, Nedum and I will be standing in as the hosts and also the moderators, okay? So thank you everyone for continuing to join in. And I want to let you know that the chat room is open. You can chat with us. You can chat with anybody in the link, in the room. And of course, again, please get your questions ready. We're talking about fighting together, weathering the storm. So if you have any questions in that, please start putting it in the Q&A box and we will be glad to come back to it. All right, so we want to share our own experience with fighting together, weathering the storm. And I'm going to like to share the story. So I'm working currently, recently, which was about 2 days ago, somebody asked me, I was just talking casually with a lady, and I said to her, so how has the Love-A-Thon been for you? And she's like, Dima, that one is on another level. Please, I've been meaning to ask you, how did you get your husband to be how he is? That she has been cracking her head to say, what will she do so that her husband will be like Nedum? How can a man be like this in Africa, an Igbo man, blah, blah, blah. And then she's asking, did I do anything extra? And right before we had that conversation, we just finished debriefing her strengths profile. Okay, and then talking about how we can show up in the world as our authentic self. And so when she asked me the question, I said to her, based on what you already know about strengths, how would you answer that question? And she looked at me and said, so Dima, you mean that my husband is just acting his strengths? He's just acting based on his repertoire of knowledge. Are you saying that all what he's doing is just the much he knows, that if he knew better, he would do better? She gave the answer, not me. And I said to her, what I'm going to say to you right now, that in enjoying your own kind of marriage, it's not about wanting to be like anybody or comparing anybody to anyone. It is firstly for you to ask yourself, how much do I know myself? And how much do I know my partner? Which was what I said to the woman, that what you should concern yourself with is learning more about yourself, learning more about your partner, and then asking yourself, how best can I work with somebody who is like this, right? And that is how I want to start our conversation today on fighting together. And it begins with, first of all, recognizing. So for us, I would say we have a fight culture, if I'm going to put it that way, and I'll explain what I mean. There are certain fundamentals that mark how we fight in marriage, and we'll be sharing it with you and hoping that you draw some lessons from it. And when our guest couple, Team Angie and Rich, join us, we're hopeful that you're going to glean from them as well. So what do I mean? If I'm going to just share 6 things with you that would help a couple fight better together, that has been helping us in the past 20 years. And I want to first of all state, we did not know all of this fight culture on the first day we got married on July 26, 2003. Over the years, we have come to refine how we fight and how it, where we are currently. So which is why I always tell people, no matter where you are, begin your journey there. So the first thing that we consider important in our fight culture is that we recognize that conflicts are opportunities to know yourself and to know your partner better. And so because of that, predominantly for myself, as I grew in personal development, I came to realize that my kind of person, being a dependable truck, a peaceful conformer by personality, and also by my range of strengths, spirituality, love, forgiveness, kindness, I'm not confrontational. I like to not approach issues. I like to just let things be, even if I'm not liking it. But over years, I've grown out of that. I also find out that I want peace to reign. So then I would call myself a peace lover, much more than a peacemaker, because a peacemaker confronts situations so that peace can be real. All right. So it took us learning that, see, We disagree is an opportunity for us to grow. And once we began to change that mindset about conflicts, we began to even disagree better. And I'm going to share this, which is our experience. And I have interviewed other couples who have been fighting fair progressively, and they also share this. I know that people say that couples must always fight. Hey, there's no marriage without fight. I agree, because we are all different human beings, but we have come to experience that there is a way to fight that reduces the occurrences of fights. So I'm not going to say we don't disagree, but the frequency of our disagreement has reduced because of the following things that I'll share with you as I go on. So secondly, what also guides our fight culture is the fact that we acknowledge that differences are not deficiencies, right? That I am raised in a different home with different experiences, different things in my environment that has formed me, my style of communication, everything is different from Nedum's own. And so how that helps couples to fight is that when you have a disagreement, when you are not seeing things the same way, you have to recognize that your way of seeing it is authentic, is valid. But that does not invalidate the way your partner is saying it. And if your partner also recognizes that her perspective is genuine, it will also help in the way he seeks response from me or how we fight. Because now you're not trying to put me down. You're not trying to discard my opinion. You're not trying to say, what's that nonsense? You know, I think maybe I'll share this. So over the years, Nedum, I think it was in Alaba I picked that slangs. So maybe when we're saying something, or when I don't do something like how we've agreed, he will now say, Nawa for you, Nawa for you. And I used to hate that Nawa for you. I mean, what do you mean Nawa for me, right? But then I would just keep quiet. But then one day I had to tell him, I don't like that Nawa for you. I said, what does it mean? Oh, for him, it was just like a filler, a speech filler, not necessarily that he meant Nawa for me. But my brain did not understand it. But until I knew that it was his environment that exposed him to such slangs, and then having the, choosing to speak about it, then we're able to address it. The third thing that marks our fight culture is that we have a shared fight mindset. And what do I mean by that? We recognize that we are in this marriage together to make it work. And so it's not about, it's about having a win-win mentality to it. I'm not arguing my case so that I will be the one that will win. Because one day I think we were having a session with a couple, and then one of us asked them a question. In this marriage, are you fighting to win, or you are fighting to win your marriage? And so they started to look at us. That sometimes couples fight as if, no, in Igbo, they will say, like, let me be the one that wins the argument or wins the fight, or let it be that it is my opinion that supersedes. That also does not augur well in marriage, because what that means is that if you believe that the person you're with has the best interest of the marriage, then you will quarrel to align your perspectives and not to destroy it. And that brings me to, so when we have disagreements, we try to validate each other's opinions and say, each other's feelings rather. And there's one magic phrase that we learned over the years. I think the first time we started to actively say that was when we attended the marriage encounter. Okay. Yeah. And so we were made to practice over and over and over and over. When you want to express how you feel, use the I statement. Yeah. I feel da 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 da. I feel da 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 da. I think da 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 da. Not saying you always do that. You never do this. Because let me tell you, no matter the age of a child, and I'm sure you've experienced it with your children, no child, no human being wants to be put down. So once it seems like you're accusing, the natural instinct is to defend. And then when you want to defend yourself, you may not defend yourself very civil. So instead of saying you did that, you always do that, you say that, you express your feelings as I feel. And the other partner will validate your feeling because they know that your feelings are not facts. It is how you feel and your feelings are valid. Though I think it's 4, I have 2 more to share. The 5th thing that we've also learned over the years that has helped us in fighting is acknowledging that none of us is omni knowest. I don't know everything. The things I know are just little. The things I need to know are so much more. Nedum also approaches it to say that, okay, whilst I'm holding on to this stand, what if there is more to know about it? And so what we've done over the years is if there is something we are fighting over, something we are not coming to a compromise about, and he's holding strongly to his opinion, I'm holding strongly to mine, then we're saying, okay, maybe we need a neutral third party. And the neutral third party can be in way of a person, can be in way of a book, can be in way of a course that we take together and now use it to iron out what we need to do. Because in doing that, somebody now says, oh, what she was saying, now it makes sense what she was saying, because now you are hearing it from somebody else or whatever. That has helped us over the years. And lastly, is that we spend time together to resolve disagreements. So sometimes what I see that couples do is that maybe after a huge fight or a huge disagreement, this person goes on their own to sulk and to reflect. The other person goes on their own. But we chose and had it as an agreement that, yes, so you can calm down yourself, you can cool down your temper, but we're still going to come together to analyze what happened. What was it that I said to you that got you offended? What was it that I did that you did not like? How did I say that? And, and talk about it. And then, because apology may never be enough. And I've seen cases where couples get so tired, she's always apologizing, he's always apologizing, but there's no amendment. So that is what we do. And some of the things that mark how we fight in our marriage and weather the storm together.
Yeah, like we said in the first episode that we brought to our marriage, we have shared values, mission and values. And no matter what that shared vision and values and mission are, is going to be tested by crisis, challenges, and obstacles. Our marriage is a union of 2 wonderful forgivers. I remember early in our marriage when ignorance was something that we always challenge you, married couples, was when I came back from work. And Dima was narrating an incident that happened in the house. We're living in a 3-bedroom apartment with 1 toilet and 1 bedroom. And we have apprentice 4 in number, 1 house help. Then I think we have 2 children by that time, or I think our first child, 1 child, yes. And she came back telling me that she was bathing. And suddenly, one of the house apprentices opened the door while she was bathing. And I just looked at her and said, is there a lock in that bedroom? She said, yes. I said, that is the reason why there is a lock. So that once somebody pulled the door, the lock will prevent the opening. So better next time when you are bathing, lock the door. That is where I answered that question. And she looked at me. And she left. And she kept quiet. And as I reflect now in our marriage, I found out that sometimes there are challenges and situations that would have brought tremendous quarrel, tremendous trouble in marriage relationship. But one person chooses the way of peace, the way of understanding, the way to let go issues. Because sometimes the benefits of your vision or your marriage vision or your family vision outweighs the petty quarrels that may come as a result of your differences. So could you imagine that somebody else, this could lead to a huge fight or misrepresentation of the idea. And this is somebody who just kept quiet over it. So sometimes somebody needs to play the fool for sometimes for marriage to keep growing and keep getting better, because your loyalty to the institution must and will be always and consistently tested. So even up to this hour, there are issues we have that somebody needs to compromise. Somebody needs to compromise. And fighting fairly in marriage also means that you are two together facing an obstacle or a challenge. There are situations in our relationship where we have to extradite, is that the right word?
What are you trying to talk about?
To send our relative out of the house. When I mean our relative, I mean our
Are we together?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Send my sibling or send my brother or sister or her sister out of the family because they have broken a certain value we hold deeply. And you know the funny things, to this moment, we share the best of family relationship with all of them. Why? Because there is, when you have family constitution, there are certain things that will happen that warrant deportation.
Deportation is
yes,
the word.
that warrant deportation, whoever that person is.
What keeps happening?
So if I have a challenge, or we have a challenge with my family that pertains to her, she doesn't go to challenge the issue. I go to challenge the issue. I go to discuss the issue with my siblings or with my parents in respect to our institution and why our institution must be respected. The same thing happens when it is challenged by her family. She doesn't keep quiet. She goes to mediate, to defend that we are in together in this marriage. Because if we are vulnerable and do not create the right boundaries, people knowingly or unknowingly will step on the sacredness of your institution. Have we been able to solve all our marital problems? No. There are some we have compromised. And this sounds so funny. The greatest compromise we are still committed to is the issue of time. I don't know where Dima got her own clock or her time.
When it comes to issues of
when it comes to issues of when it comes to issues of time, we have scheduled that, for example, we have to be able to start a prayer by 5 p.m., which is 5 a.m., which is my usual schedule before we got married. To this moment, 20 years, we are still struggling to make that happen. We have fought over it. I will be in the chapel 5 a.m. in the morning, waiting for Dima to come and pray. I'm on my own. She will come out at 7. And even though she comes out like a little minutes after 5, I am annoyed. I am pained because this is a time with the Lord. So what do we do? Oh boy, go and pray in your 5 a.m. She wakes up by 7 or by 6, depending on the time, and she says her prayer. And we'll now meet every Thursday. That's TeamDinmaNedum's day, to now pray together and study together. But night prayers, which is around 8 p.m. every day with the children and the family members, we do that together. We have also have an issue we have not resolved, compromise again. I hate going to church late. Church service is 6:30 p.m. I hate going to church late. I hate it with all passion. So in trying to wait for us to go together, I found out by the time I'm parking the car, they're already in the church, and I will stand outside the church gate, waiting for some few moments when after the gospel or after the sermon for the service to be opened, and I will go in. And throughout that service, I get extremely bitter. There was an occasion I left them before the house and went. She came into the church. Nobody's greeting each other. Well, shall we still receive our Holy Communion? So what was the compromise? Once it is 6:20, I am leaving the house. If you are not ready by 6:20, you're coming on your own. So right at this moment, have we solved every resolvable conflict or no? But we have found a way around it and we are cool with it. Which some people have also found perfect solution to theirs, but we haven't found because of our difference in temperaments, in personalities, and how we pursue issues in life. we arrive at how we can live peacefully. You know, they say that love covers a multitude of sins, not especially wrongdoing, but it could also be the weakness of your partner. The weakness and their failings and their shortcomings. Love gives you an endurance and tolerance to bear all with love and also happiness in the relationship.
All right, so that was it. And now please, we're still waiting for your questions. Please post your questions in the Q&A session because soon we'll be taking questions. And so Nedum was talking about some of the things that, you know, have happened and continue to happen that we have not resolved. And so if you have questions you want to ask us specifically concerning fighting together and weathering the storm, please post it in the chat room and we'll be coming there. Over the years, we have worked with certain couples. We have also hosted couples weekend getaway, and all through this Love-A-Thon, we've been having some of the people that we have mentored as a couple, some that have taken our marriage programs and attended the getaways, come to share with us their testimonials of how our work with them and our marriage continue to inspire them. And today we're having Team Ude sharing with us there, and I'm trying to get them. Okay, so Team Ude will be joining us to share how TeamDinmaNedum will be and all of our marriage stuff has inspired their family. Team Ude, please. Let me see if we have any questions so far. Okay, so no questions so far. So what else? I have plenty of things in my notes, so I just want to make it interactive and get quickly to inviting our guest couple for this day. Okay, so Nedum talks about, so Nedum, I want to ask you, whilst we're waiting for Team Ude to join us, what has been the most challenging moments for you in our marriage? Okay, so something just happened and we just found ourselves that we were offline. I think for some reason, our system started to reset itself by itself. So let's see, where is Team Ude, please? So I was asking a question before we had that issue. What would you say is the most challenging period for you in our relationship? Because we're also talking weathering the storm, and how were you able to cope through it, and how did we, come out of that? I guess you just take that and then we will join Team Ude. Team Ude, we can't see you. Your video is still paused. Hello? Can you unmute yourself and maybe start your video?
Yeah, can you hear me now? TeamDinmaNedum, good evening, everybody.
Yes, we can hear you, but we can't see you. So I don't know if NEPA struck in your area.
Yeah, yes.
Oh my goodness. goodness, I can't hear you. It's breaking.
Yes, but I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, go ahead and share with us. You have 5 minutes and share with us your testimonial, please.
This is Team It's been an awesome with the TeamDinmaNedum mission. Honestly, without mincing words, without exaggeration, sincerely, it's been wonderful. I and my wife, we've known TeamDinmaNedum for more than 10 years now. Just a few years after the marriage getaway began, I think we attended the first marriage getaway on the third year. I think on the third year, yes, the third year of the marriage getaway program. So I and my wife, I was in Rockview, if I'm not wrong, that was 2013. 2013 in Rockview Hotel. It was really wonderful. It was exciting. And since then, it's been a wonderful journey. There's one remarkable experience and counsel I got from TeamDinmaNedum. And that day I and my wife were having some disagreement over a very serious issue about her academic goal, her career, and all that, So I was like, I wanted her to be in another career, in fact, in the aviation industry. Why? And we already had to get a form. She has done the first preliminaries of the aviation program, and she's not a mathematical kind person per se. So, and myself, I have a science background. So I said, no, I need you to be in the aviation industry. I want you to be an air hostess and all that. I like it. When I see air hostess, like, I just wanted my wife. So then the next thing was a serious disagreement in that in fact, the program she did was just to please me. She didn't do it like.
Mr. O'Day, I think
Yeah, okay.
it's really breaking. Is your video on? Maybe you want to turn off your video to increase the bandwidth, because we're struggling to hear you. The last thing we heard was that you were fantasizing about your wife being in the aviation industry. So you might want to turn off your video so that you can save the bandwidth and just use your audio alone.
Is it okay now? Can you?
Yes,
yes,
leave
better,
the
go ahead.
video turned off.
Yeah, go
Turn
on.
off the video and just talk on. Yeah.
I've just turned off.
Okay, go
My
ahead.
light is back anyway. My light is bad, but no problem. Let's go ahead if this is fine. So when we're having that disagreement, she said no, she wanted to be in the baking industry. She would like catering services and all that, outdoor catering and all. That's what I said, wow, are you okay? We want to touch you up. I said, you want to do catering? What is catering, for crying out loud? So I didn't buy that idea. I said, no, that's not going to happen in this house. It's not, what is catering? You want to be cooking and all that. So when we're just having a very serious disagreement. I wasn't really flowing with her. But when I brought the issue to Nedum, he said something that really helped me all these years. My marriage is about 14 years now. He said that we both have different paces, that I must understand that men are in sizes and life is in paces, that my pace and her pace are not the same, that with time, she's going to evolve into what I want her to be, but I should give her time and I should allow her to flourish where she wants to be. And sincerely, I am not regretting that, taking to cognizance that counsel and implementing it. You understand? I came back home. I said, okay, I've agreed to what you wanted to do. She was surprised because I used to be a very resolute person and not necessarily domineering per se, but I like things being done properly and sometimes I like to have my way anyway. So, but in this case, I just bent and said, no problem, let's do what you want, no problem. And some years down the line, sincerely, especially that during the COVID era, during a lot of crisis, economic crisis, that the aviation industry shut down completely, I must tell you that it was a business. It was a catering business that was sustaining the family because so I was imagining being in the aviation industry at such a time. It would have been quite challenging. I don't know if I'm getting me. So
yes, we get you. The network is not cooperating, but we get the essence. We get you.
Okay. Now, what I'm trying to say is, this experience for me is priceless. The experience, you have to understand that I don't forget that word, that you need to, both of you don't have the same rhythm. Your paces are different. You need to understand her rhythm, and you need to allow her play her rhythm. And then since then, I have applied that principle in everything. And sincerely, we have always ended up having the same wavelength. Even though we disagree, at the long run, we tend to flow up again. So I apologize that she's not here with us. In fact, she just walked in from her business. So from the same business. So, and it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful. So I want to say I appreciate TeamDinmaNedum, and this last 12 years has never been, I don't know if I start paying, I know I can't pay for it. I can't pay for it. And sincerely speaking, and let me also say that the first two, say hi, number two.
Hi.
Yes, she just came. Mary just came in now. She's saying, say hi now.
Hi.
Good evening.
Yeah.
All.
Good evening.
Yeah.
So the experience have been awesome. You know, I remember the first two couples getaway. We were still very young couple, and we couldn't even pay for the couples getaway, but we're sponsored free of charge for like 3 years. We're sponsored. Those that have gone for the getaway, you know how expensive, how the cost, and you know it's what more than. But we have been privileged to be part of that couple getaway for 3 consecutive years without paying a dime, and it's been awesome. So we appreciate you. The value is inestimable. It's honestly speaking, we cannot place a price on the value of what we've gained from TeamDinmaNedum all these years. And sincerely, it has got beyond marriage to a whole lot. Mr. Nedum is more like he's my mentor in business. He's my business mentor beyond marriage. He's my guide in terms of business and generally life principles. So I doff my hat for you both. You've been a role model. You've been a beacon, and I know we aren't going to let the torch die. It's not dying yet. It's not going to die. So thank you so much. So we are encouraging everybody in the part of it. It's wonderful, and we want to say, may God keep on blessing you.
Amen.
As you're getting ready to 50th anniversary. You will celebrate your Silver Jubilee 25.
Amen.
Amen.
And so I think that is it. Thank you, Mary and Ezechukwu. It was nice having you, and keep inspiring other couples as well that marriage works and there is a way to do marriage right. Thank you so, so much. Okay, so before we get our
Golden Jubilee 50, Diamond Jubilee.
All right. So before we bring our guest couple in, there was a question I asked Nedum, and I would like for you to answer the question before we bring in our guest couple. And please keep your questions coming in the Q&A box, and we'll be taking them. So
I
remember
think,
the question?
yes, the most challenging time in our relationship was, I think, when Dima had an anxiety issues for 2 years or close to 2 years. And it was really challenging in the sense that I have never been so close to somebody who has an anxiety issue. And you begin to wonder if that person thinks right, if that person rationalize issues before coming up to present whatever the issue is. And one of the things that was also traumatizing to me is beginning to imagine things that I can't even understand. For example, that the house is after her to die. I don't understand how the house is making you and choking you to die. And I pray, we pray, and yet in the midnight, the person is awake that he wants to eat tantalizer by 2 p.m. Where does tantalizer or any fast food open by 2 p.m.? Or she wants to eat a particular kind of food. And if we have that kind of food, and you go to get that kind of food, she will still not eat it. And it was more challenging because our house help left few months into that challenge. And we'll have 4 children when the eldest was 8 or so. So all of them were in primary school. So I had to wake up in the morning, prepare breakfast for them, make them they are ready for school, ensure that when they go to school, when they are coming back, they are dropped in their auntie's place. You pick them, you make sure they are ready for the next day, you check their homework, and still you can't sleep in the night. And I was also running a course that time in University of Ibadan, all at the same time. So I was mentally exhausted. And the funny thing is that we go to any kind of hospital that they recommend to us, and it wasn't getting better. It wasn't getting better. And every day she's getting thinner and leaner, where I begin to wonder, am I going to be a widower? How will I cope being a widow? These were some of the things that were running in my brain, that I started imagining how I need to cope when I become a widower. So it was a time that I have never passed through that stress, that anxiety, that challenge, and I don't wish it for any other person. So it was like see your wife going down. And you know the funny thing, we are still having ministration calls, we're still having getaways, and we did not stop any of those things. Both the getaway, we didn't stop the getaway of that year. We didn't stop ministrations that she was invited for. And how we coped with that season, I think, was attributed to their commitment to our vision. Because we come to the getaway, she was just there, not active. So I have to run the whole 2 days. We go to speaking engagement, we are going on the way, and suddenly she has anxiety issue. They have to go to the hospital. I have to go to speak on her behalf. So I realized that shared vision and shared meaning and complementarity was one of the things that allowed us and helped us to strive through that season and come out it powerfully and better. And since that time, we are being stronger and strengthened, both in health and otherwise, to the glory of God.
Okay, so thank you for that. So that just brings, I'm in a hurry to bring in Team Angie and Rich. That just brings, because sometimes people say marriage is 50-50. And I like to say that that is one of the lies they sold to us, because marriage is 100-100. Because there are some days that your partner cannot bring 0% to the relationship in some respects. it's your 100% that keeps the union going, okay? And so that has been one of the most challenging periods of our marriage. And of course, in addition to that, one of the things that also helped, aside from the mind-body work and all that, was having resourceful network of people that we anchored on for different aspects, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, culturally, everything. And on that note, sweethearts, maybe you want to introduce our guest couple because I want them to join. So please, your questions are very important to bring them on. Team Angie and Rich, you want to turn on your video so that we can bring you to the spotlight. Sweetheart, you do the intro, yeah.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, good evening. So joining us, yeah, good evening. Trust you had a wonderful day. So joining us,
yes, we did.
yes, joining us is Team Angie and Rich, founders of Keeping Marriage Alive Initiative. And one of the wonderful ways we have collaborated and worked together is through also their platforms of hosting weekend getaway for families and also for couples. And to the glory of God, we have attended 2 of their family weekend getaway, and I think 1 of their marriage weekend getaway. And that's one of the strengths we have together. We also go under partners and friends platforms to learn. And they have so much amazing people who have always been passionate about helping families and friends. So we are honored and privileged to have you today. So you are welcome.
Angie and
you.
Rich, you're welcome. Thank you for being here. We have plenty questions and people are dropping their questions. So me, I'm going to start the question. My first question for you is, we're talking about fighting together, weathering the storms. Have there been any time where you felt like giving up on your marriage, and how did and how did you overcome such times? That's the first question I have for you.
Hey, goddamn.
Before we begin to answer, one thing is congratulations.
I can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Can you hear?
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Can you hear now?
Yes.
Say a big congratulations for your 20th wedding anniversary. It's no small thing. If you've stayed 1 day in marriage, 1 year in marriage, you need to be congratulated. Unfortunately, they don't celebrate these things, but these are the real things that should be celebrated. Because if you are angry with your spouse, you're coming back to sleep that night with your spouse. If it's at work, you leave them and work.
So don't even come home.
Okay, that's it. When it comes home. So a big congratulations, and what you put out for people to learn, it's a marvelous thing. It's a marvelous and a rare thing, and nobody listening should take this for granted. No way. It's a marvelous, marvelous, marvelous thing. Well done. Okay. Hope you are hearing us.
Yes. We are hearing. Hear you clearly.
Yes.
We can hear you.
Can you hear?
Yes,
we can hear you.
Go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, so you asked a question. I started laughing. Couple of times. In short, anybody that knows how we founded Keeping Marriage Alive will know we founded it at the verge of divorce. I was done with the marriage.
Are you far away from your device? Like you are talking in voice?
No, I'm not. Okay, let me try the volume.
Maybe you want to amplify your voice, like, because it's a bit faint.
Can you hear me better now?
Yes, much better.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just I said when we Keeping Marriage Alive was founded from the time we had issues. Can you hear very clearly?
Yes.
And one of the major issues we had was I wanted out. I was done with the marriage. I didn't want to. I didn't know there was any divorce papers, irreconcilable
differences.
Can you hear? Hello.
Oh my goodness. Team Angie and Rich. Yes.
Okay. So, and irreconcilable differences. So our light has gone off now and it's coming up. Don't worry.
It's okay.
Go ahead, we're in Nigerian.
So one of the key things we took from it was we are so different. If you have a history of our relationship, we both just met each other a week and then he proposed. After that, we went through premarital counseling, which was, people don't pay attention. And then we got married. So yes, we've had differences. And I've learned that it's not how many differences or how many quarrels or disagreements you have, but how you learn to combat them that makes the difference. So we are standing here. Our badge of honor is that we've made more mistakes and that we've learned from them. So when we tell people it's our mistakes and experience and other people's mistakes that we are learning from. So, and yes, so the answer is yes, yes, yes. I don't know if I can say that we are perfect now. We will still make some mistakes, but we are hanging on there, learning better. I hope the volume is much better. You want me to switch to another slide?
Oh my goodness, today's network is challenging. We need to weather the storm of this network. The network is not allowing us to get this. But whilst you're trying to, you want to switch service provider, let me just recap what you were sharing.
Okay.
So are you changing service provider or you want to switch a device?
I want to switch a device, our phone device or something. So just hold on.
Okay. While you're doing that, let me just recount what she was talking about. That so we talked about Angie and Rich being founders of the Keeping Marriage Alive initiative. And that initiative was started because at a point in their marriage, Angie was done. I don't even understand how she wanted to leave this fine bloke. But she felt like, I'm not going to do this anymore, and she was going to leave. But we're interested to know what made you not leave and what did you learn as a result of that season. That's what we want to hear. But while she's doing that, I will direct, there's a question here on the chat room. Somebody is saying, what happens to a situation where a husband prefers to handle every issue by dismissing the topic or reporting to a third party to talk to the wife more often than readily addressing and resolving the matter directly with his wife? Nedum, you want to take a go at that?
Okay.
It says, a situation where the husband prefers to handle every issue by dismissing the topic or reporting to a third party to talk to the wife, much more than addressing the issue with the wife directly.
Yeah, ignorance is not an excuse because the consequences are real. And because a lot of us brought up in African setting have had a script that we're already living in terms of marriage relationship, which is assumed that the man is the head of the house and the leader of the family, and every decision depends on him. Even when he's wrong, it's still a right decision. And because of that socialization factor, we work sometimes in error, believing that we have the right circumstances and position to address the issue. One thing that is very important in how building a sustainable and flourishing relationship is to broaden your knowledge, broaden the concepts of what you know, allowing yourself to read, to be in seminars and training where challenges are resolved or taught about how skills can help a couple address their relationship. And the second one is also to have a mentor or a coach that has the relevant skills and knowledge, not necessarily a person who has stayed longer in a marriage, perhaps 30 years, 40 years, or your family, friends, or family relations. No, it has to be a qualified counselor or guidance who does not have any emotional attachment to see clearly and dissect the issue and proffer solution. So we have at certain times the right knowledge to solve some marital problem. That's just the truth. It doesn't make us bad people. It's just we are deformed in that area. And people who have expertise and knowledge in that area can actually help us. So I will say to the person asking this question, can you choose the option of approaching a counselor who will help you people to solve the problem. And that will really help, because we cannot really solve all the problems that comes to us. Sometimes we need help.
Okay, and in addition to that, while we were speaking, I remembered a situation where I was in a consultation call with a wife who was going on and on talking about what was happening in the relationship. And I asked her, does your husband know how you feel about this relationship? Like these things you are sharing with me, have you shared it with him? And she said, hey, he will not listen to me and all that. And I said, so imagine that I'm the husband. Can you be frank with me and share with me, how have you brought this situation to him? And by the time she started to talk, I realized that even her manner of approach will not make the man listen to her. So I said to her, what you're talking about, I can work with you to get you on a path, but what you really desire would require your husband. So would you like for me to coach you on how to bring these issues up with your husband and let your husband know that you would like for both of you to see a marriage coach? And she said yes. And I just that session, I just shared with her how to bring it up. And it's not different from what I've shared here, where she's sharing her feelings and not pointing accusing fingers to the man, just talking about how you feel and how you feel the relationship is and all of that. And I think it was 2 days later, she chatted me to say, Dima, can you imagine? He agreed that we'll have a consultation call. So sometimes it could also be the way we are talking about these things, whether man or woman. Remember, anybody who feels attacked will want to defend themselves. And if, again, secondly, if the husband for the woman who asks that question is open to, reporting you to other people to talk to you. I've had that instance too. A man says, Zima, I want to book a coaching call for my wife. And I'm like, okay, did madam say she wants a coaching call? No, I think you need to talk to her. She needs to know how a woman should be. I say, oh God, by the way you are telling me, it means it is 2 of you that needs the coaching call. So even for that husband, is there somebody he respects? It doesn't have to necessarily be a marriage counselor, but it's just that unfortunately some respectable people could give bad advice, not because they mean bad, but because they don't know how to handle it. You cannot not say you are going to report, but also talk to the people he respects that are in his circle to help to direct both of you to the help that you need. And that could also be very beneficial. So Team Angie and Rich are back here. Angie, that matter, we cannot leave that matter. You must tell us why you decided not to pack your bag and go and what you learned through all of those processes.
Okay, thank you so much. And we thank God that the hiccups have been resolved. Yeah. Okay, really, when I think one of the key things was looking at our relationship. My husband felt that marriage was the woman should not be seen or heard, just have the children. And if you look at my formation and my kind of person, it's like putting me in a box that cannot just work. So we had a clash of character, interest, and all. But what happened to me was on the particular scene we had, it was a woman that came into our relationship that caused a real vibrant issue. We fought. I had gotten, because I didn't have a good example, I didn't know how to tackle the problem. So at first, I tackled it by being silent. It wasn't working. I tried insulting. It wasn't working. So the last confrontation was when the lady approached me and via text message to tell me that is when she's done with my husband, that she will return him. And my head just smoked. I said, "You gave me yesterday, Meta." I just, so what will happen? What should have happened should happen now. So it became, I think I hit my husband with the phone. He woke up and we had exchanged words and we fought. So in that process, our parents came into it and had a conversation. Now I remember my mother asking, specifically to my husband, that, why did you hit her? Did you beat her? I said, I beat her very well. This was a question and answer session.
I actually thought it was a question and answer, so I answered.
They asked you a question, you answered.
My mother asked again, did you really beat my daughter? I said, very well. God in heaven. So, but one of the things that happened to me was, when it was my turn to speak, because both families had representatives. My mother had gone ahead to say, call me before the meeting, that Angie, if you don't feel safe in this marriage, I'm going to give you a safe environment and promise you that we can help you live abroad for 2 years so that I can get your space if you feel threatened in this marriage. So she was expecting me to say, maybe I need separation or something. Then I asked a very important, something came to my mind because I had prayed about my marriage. This was like 8 years into our marriage. I had prayed about, we've had our 3 children by then. I had prayed about the marriage. I had cried about the marriage. I have begged about the marriage. So that particular day, I asked for a few seconds alone, and I went into our bedroom. And I knelt down and said, God, it's 8 years and this marriage is ending today. But I'm going to ask you a favor, Lord. If you're going to give me wisdom required to help this marriage, I will stay. But I don't know what to do again. And I heard God say to me, you have to go back and tackle this. So I went back, and I won't give you specifics of what I did, because in counseling, we've realized that people like taking specifics that will not work for them without understanding their spouse. So I will skip that part of it. So I went back and with understanding now took some instructions. So one of the key things that helped us, that was the first time in 8 years of our marriage that we had a real conversation. The conversation we've had in our marriage is how much is it? We need to pay bills. My husband felt that any conversation that makes you a bit vulnerable shouldn't be had in marriage. Yeah. I remember his conversation when I asked him years into our marriage, Mimi, can we be friends? He said, friends, husband and wife friends. It's impossible. You're simply my wife. So already we had a problem. So one of the things I learned from that major fight was, come Angie, come Rich, there is a problem here. But the first important thing is that we are different. But, and it's very key to appreciate that we are different, and we should allow God to give us insights and have knowledge of, there's what we call, you read a book, but you cannot practice the whole book on the person. You have information, but you don't know what to use at that particular point in time. So when you pray for your spouse, what happens is that you have understanding of which area you need to apply to get the right result now. And so that's what happened to us, and that changed our story. So keeping marriage alive was bettered from that mistake, because we realized that mistake is common to most marriages. And we are here today. And I think are we best of friends? I should leave that for you to answer.
We're doing very, very closer and closer and closer. Actually, that problem was a turnaround in our marriage. Really. Our marriage was dead as at that point. So it was resurrected by the mercies of God. I for myself, I learned practically that I didn't know much about marriage. You think being a doctor, experienced doctor, you should know something about marriage. But I tried what I knew, and it fell us face down. I couldn't communicate well with my wife. I was too busy. That didn't help. Trying to make ends meet. That actually wasn't the problem. I couldn't communicate well. When she wants to talk to me, I'm already tired. In fact, there was a time she called me that, let's talk. I said, pretend I'm not here.
Severally.
Because she wasn't getting that I've spent the whole day talking to patients. And that was where I got it wrong. I spent my whole time talking to patients, getting them, canceling them. Come home to gist with my wife, I can't do that. I said, pretend I am not here. Because frankly, I was tired, but that was still not an excuse. I was totally ignorant about it. It dawned on me clearly. Because I brought about the fault. Yes. And let me just chip in a bit. My wife actually had to apologize on our behalf before the family left. That day I cried. I cried for real. But I was on, I did this and this one is apologizing. What are you apologizing for? It dawned on me that I didn't know what was going on. So on my own part, what I did was that I'm ready to do anything we need to do to get this to work. I wanted my wife, I didn't want divorce in the first place. But it was dysfunctional, it wasn't working. And I was stubbornly going on that let's just have the marriage. So now I had to supply that, come, whatever it takes, I will get it, because I don't want to break this marriage.
It would be good to add that we didn't just reconcile and it began to work. Yes, we had to go through a 6 weeks counseling, professional counseling. Wow. We had to identify areas we need to work on. And one key area was we were reflecting our family pattern unconsciously. We had to identify that and consciously begin to build the family pattern we wanted, not what our parents had showcased for us.
Our parents, and my father and mother, till my father passed on, they stayed, but they were like roommates. No love, no. I didn't see them sit down to communicate deeply. What are you communicating? It's just like I decide, you know. So I thought that was the way to do it.
Yeah.
You know? On our own,
It's
yes,
so
on our own.
amazing, yeah, what you're talking about. Go ahead. You were
Go
saying
ahead.
something about Angie.
Go ahead.
On our own part, her parents fought every day. In fact, the father beat the mother every day, up to the level of beating outside in the streets. So we didn't have any example like that to look up to. We're coming with
And that was why when my mother was asking, did you beat her? It was a personal question because my mother told all her son-in-laws, because we have 4 girls before we had our brother, said, don't beat my daughter, correct her, because it was like, so this thing has gone to the next generation after everything. And he kept on saying I beat her very well, you know, and I think that gives a leverage or a foundation for the question. So I hope we've answered it.
Yes, it's so amazing. Thank you, Angie and Rich, for sharing this story. And just for the viewers with us, you can pick some lessons from there, which is why it's very important that couples get to have an understanding of their current attachment style. And I think it starts from pre-marriage, really.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm excited for everyone who does intentional pre-marriage preparation. Because, of course, if it's a professional, well-done one, because what you're sharing is critical. Like you unconscious, and I'm sure growing up, when you saw your parents fighting, you didn't like it. And you would have said to yourself, I won't have this kind of marriage. But we unconsciously become like what we know, because that is what is stored in our subconscious until you have to intentionally break that circle with knowledge, right? So that was what happened. And then Doc Seth, with all of his saving lives, he did not want to save his own marriage. He's saving other people's life. And I see that happen even sometimes amongst people like us who are in the marriage saving ministry, if I'm going to put it that way. That you see people in marriage ministries who are distant, like you are having conversation with husband and wife who do marriage coaching, and I'm like, what's happening here? He's talking to his secretary. Like you perceive the disconnection. You know, and so sometimes I tell Nedum, and that informed us in our marriage when we decided that we will not be taking invitations on the last weekends, because it took our daughter saying to us, you are never at home. People have to go and speak. And we're like, we'll be there speaking and telling people this is how to raise family, this is how to do marriage. We are not doing the work on our own. So we say, you know what, 1 week of the month, don't accept any invitation. Anybody that wants to let them invite you in the 3 weeks. Intentionally invest this one in your own marriage, because we can be caught up with that. And I understand, because Doc and I share the same personality type. We are inherently saviors. So we don't know when we become exhausted. And then it's the people at home who suffer the effect of our exhaustion. All right. So thank you so much for sharing that. So Nedum, this question, I think there's a question here because it's rising from what you shared. The person says, dear sir, how do you cope with introverts in marriage in terms of socializing? I think you're the best person to answer that.
Coping with introverts in socializing. It's funny that both of us are introverts. Both of us are introverts by our personality profiling. However, human beings need socializing to thrive meaningfully and have all their well-being at the peak performance. And these are some of the things where you recognize about who you are and how you need to function. You strategically begin to identify people you share common values with, neighbors, church, village, schoolmates, or workplace, and begin to make invitations to either have a socializing event or attend trainings and getaways where there's a socializing environment like NG and Rich has, like TeamDinmaNedum has. And in that environment, you are able to start picking gradually. These are skills, it's learnable. And once we also attend such things, from there you begin to find even in your own cell, there are also people you connect with. But keep an intentional schedule, and in your schedule, once in a while, who are we going to visit together? Which friends are we forming together? Which person do we think we can learn together? Which person do we think we can go to his place and listen to him for guidance? It's a process. And break the shame and the shyness that comes with it by taking baby steps. It's possible. We are not great in having friends like that, but through our platforms and meeting with the people we share values with, we will now become more comfortable in building alliance, in building friends, and in building partners, and that has actually helped. We are not saying change your personality, but take baby steps because we need one another to flourish meaningfully.
Fantastic. And maybe if the person who asks the question, because they say, how do you work with an introvert? If I assume that the person asking is an extrovert and you have an introvert partner, so it can really be frustrating when somebody just wants to be locked inside the house. So some way you can also do it is find the introverts are not that they don't like to go out per se, but they might not be so outgoing. You need to find out, what does your partner like? I think one thing that helps couple is don't insist on my social, like what I like. So maybe I might like dancing, Nedum likes wrestling. Like I could never, before I met Nedum, sit and watch a wrestling match because my brain does not understand how fighting is formed, right? But I like to sit with him and just about the movies I'm watching. So I need to also sit with him to watch wrestling only for the bonding opportunity that it provides. Outside of watching with him, I never do it. So you want to also find out, what does the person like? And then you bring your own idea, the person brings. And some days, don't make it also look like not wanting to socialize is a bad thing. The days the person is wants to sit at home, enter under the duvet with the person, bring the theater to your home, put the movie, chop the popcorn, let the person see that you are also enjoying what I enjoy. They will also be moving to enjoy with you the things you're enjoying. And that's how the love will be loving, right? So Andy and Rich, I have another, you want to say something to that?
Yes, in addition to that, because I'm an extrovert. I was born an extrovert. My husband is a core introvert. He only speaks when he sees his patients, and most people don't know that. So he's only laughing when, no, seriously. So, and one of the things I learned from it is that usually for extroverts, we fall in love with introverts because we like to hear our voice. And I'm being very frank. So you now get married to the person that you now want them to be like you. The first thing I learned is accept them. When you accept them, they're able to blossom. So get them to, don't keep repeating that, there's something wrong with you because they're an introvert. Merely you accept them, they begin to appreciate, okay, I've accepted you, or you've accepted me. Second thing, as TeamDinmaNedum said, is alliance. Find common ground you can work with. Third thing I think is schedule time. Let's make a promise, schedule time for one another. One of the things that saved us, my husband being an introvert and extrovert, is that this week, twice a month we go out. We've not done that for a while now because of our busy schedule, but it's our routine. And so I take him out wherever I feel like, whatever he likes, I do for him. So my taking out is I study what I think he will appreciate, and I'll do it. One of the things he loves is swimming. For the life of me, I swim, but I don't like swimming. So if you see me in the swimming pool, it's a love gift to my husband and children. I don't like swimming, but I swim because of them. So he now goes, the next 2 weeks, he does something for me. So that keeps the love fuel tank at least full, 60% full all the time. We have to be intentional. So the introvert cannot say, I'm an introvert, I'm going to stay there. The extrovert will not say, I'm extrovert. No, we have to find systems that will help us align and feel that we both matter to each other. I wanted to add that. So thank you so much. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Angie. That was powerful. So there's a question I have here. What are some of the common sources of conflict in your relationship?
in our own relationship.
Yes, that's the question sent in. What are some of the common causes? Before you came in, I don't know if you were there when Nedum talked about the reoccurring one, the time management thing and all that, and how we are navigating it. And so what are some of the common sources of conflict in your relationship and how are you navigating it?
Okay, you want to go first?
Yes. Where do I start from? Let's not close it. But what's the common one?
Because we need people to learn practical steps.
Yeah.
Yes. It's similar to what everybody goes through, really. But the first thing is that availability. We run a very busy schedule, though we do find time to still meet and relax and do things together. 2, in-laws. 3, communication.
No, let's break
Give
it
an
down.
example.
Yes. Okay. So let me help. Let
Okay.
me help here. I'm going to be very vulnerable. So I'm taking your permission, my love.
Permission.
So when we got married, one of the key issues we had was sex. And people don't talk about this, but we must address the situation. Because and the church and relationships, the social media is not helping matters. They give a one-sided conversation about sex. So women that have higher libido, their husbands assume that they are loose. So when we got married, I came with the reason why I got married was because of sex. I heard that it's free in marriage.
Shining it legally.
I am telling you. And I got married. My husband tried to take up a 3rd job so that he can fulfill our dreams. And he will now come back and tell me that he's tired.
Yes, I come back exhausted and tired.
So you cannot now meet your reason for marrying.
I am telling you. So it was a very big fight. I prayed with. So there was a time I told him, show your patience. There are times they pay you to see you. Can I pay? So I know that. Because before you hear that one woman has gone outside her marriage because of what she does not know. But what happened was we had a conversation. And one of the things we agreed was, okay, I have a higher libido. It doesn't make me a loose woman. My husband has a good libido. It's just that work affects how he presents it at home. So we said, can we now be a bit more deliberate? And we scheduled time for sex in our marriage. We said, okay, can we be minimum of 2 to 3 times a week? And we said, remind me if I fall short, remind. So we had to create that system for 2-3 years before it became a habit and a routine in our marriage. Wow. Right now, our sex life is better than when we got married. In short, if you hear me joking to my husband, call him brother, how far? It means that he has missed some mark. I say, brother.
Timetable is not timetabling.
You know, so and it's very, very important. You know, I used to crack one day my husband was praying and he said, God bless us roundabout. I said, Father, also increase our libido in Jesus' name. My husband fell from the bed. now prayer for. I said, but I don't know that increase. So, and we must have these conversations. So another issue we had was the perfect syndrome. You know, the world creates this perfect wife and husband. So I was trying so much to fit into what everybody wanted us to be. So one of the things, I was giving both my husband BP, giving myself BP, till one day I said, keep your perfect syndrome. I want the progress part of it. So we began to look at it. So we make mistakes, but we laugh about it. Yeah. And if my husband, because he's a doctor, people, you know, all of you, even you say, this man is a loving doctor. Anytime he's loving you, we are losing.
Leave my doctor for me. Don't even go there. Leave my doctor for me. But doctor, you go, they love me, they love madam too. No change your hand from your side.
And that's the thing. And that's another thing. We talk about things, we don't create solutions for them. And you must progress from talking about it to create solutions. One of the solutions we created was, can we create a verifying time? So in our home, around 10:30 to 12 midnight is our we time. So my husband can literally go back to work after 12 midnight. If there's an emergency, he must attend to. But 10:30 to 12 midnight is our time. And he can carry me, nurse me to bed, dress up, and leave. Because we need to find a way where both people feel appreciated in the marriage, irrespective of our work. you know. And now I work also sometimes because of time difference, middle of the night. But even at that, we have the system, we don't tamper with it as much as possible. So I think that's a good question.
Thank you so much for that, Angie and Rich. We deeply appreciate that. I think we're also talking, to add to what you said, is that sense, and there's something I'm anchoring in. You said we identify the problems, but we don't create solutions to it. And that is so spot on. That is so spot on. Because before we came on, Nedum and I, when we're planning this series, I'm like, okay, so what would you say has helped in the sense of fighting together and communicating better? And we began to put down some things and realize that is the fact that when things happen, we don't go to say, you be brooding on it, and me, I'll be brooding. We will come together and say, this is what happened. Like I said earlier, apology is not enough. If you apologize and you don't do something differently, I'm not saying from 3/10, go to 10/10. From 3/10, what can we do to even go to 3.5?
Exactly.
Go to 4.5, like that. And that is one thing. And again, one thing that your talk made me realize is also, I know people have different perspectives, but I'm sharing my own perspective. That the perspective of husband and wife sharing one room
very important.
Has helped us, because I know even when we're living in a 3-bedroom apartment, we had one room and we knew how it helped us to spend time, talk, and also like have a ritual, like you said, before bedtime. Okay. That even when we moved over here, we still said, even if you like, let the room in the house be 10 rooms, we'll still have one room together. And I know when people will come and say, where's your room? I said, I don't have a room. Because it really helps, that distance, you know, the closeness helps to really action some of the action steps.
And you know, when you have some little challenges and you're in the same room, sharing the same wardrobe, sharing toilet, sharing bedroom, the more you are harboring that bitterness, the more you are suffocating yourself.
I am telling you.
And the more you are becoming terrible about, because you are face to face with who you think you are having a challenge with. And how do you even ease that challenge? Even when you are sleeping in the same bed, small time your leg will roll, hit the other person, your hand will roll, hit the other person. Before you know, you hug. At least it will ease up the tension. So solving problems and solving marriage challenges is something that always come up in different dimensions, in different degree. But understanding the process of resolving your own personal conflicts, your pattern and your process is very, very important, and you itemize it, discuss it, and it becomes a template for resolving marital issues that are pertaining to you is critically very, very important. Yeah.
Which is why I say to people, it doesn't matter how much you feel your communication has deteriorated, there is always a place to start the repair. At least take Angie and Rich. When all looked like everything had gone south, they made a decision. In fact, Angie made a decision, because even when she came out to apologize to the parents, Oga had not, it was that decision that made Oga say, let me now come to it. Because I always tell people, sometimes you see, and if you, Angie, in the work we do, it's now that some men are coming forth to get counseling and ask for help. It's mostly predominantly women. And then we say, I'm getting exhausted. Why should I be the only one carrying the family? And I say, the person who is more knowledgeable has more to give to the situation, because you know better, right? I'm not downplaying. It can be challenging. It can be tough. It can feel like a lot of work. But someone, or what I say to that person is, imagine if this person was incapable. Sometimes we can make it look so graphic and say, just imagine that this man or woman, in the case may be, is in ICU units of this behavior you are looking for. They are hanging his leg somewhere. That means he's incapable of giving what you want him to give. So if you have that mindset, Do you understand? If you have that mindset, what will you do differently? And I say, imagine if that man was in the hospital, you'll be giving him food. You'll be tending to the sickness. Angie is laughing. So in this moment, act like he's in ICU of that behavior. Attend to him because you will help him heal. I'm serious. When he's now improving in the healing, then he can now start contributing. Because honestly, times that your partner does not have the capacity to bring to the table what you're expecting, either due to ignorance and many other factors. What do you do at that time?
I am just in addition to what you're saying, because having lived it, one of the things about having lived it, I can tell you categorically that after some years, you begin to wear things. I did it literally for 8 years, and I can tell you that is one of the unhealthiest way to handle relationship. So what I will ask for the men listening or the women is that nobody was created to run marriage alone. So if you are in ICU, it means that I know that in your capacity, you don't have it. But this one is that some people are intentional about not doing anything about it.
Yes, in the ICU are making all sorts of noise and everything.
You know that.
And that will know the ICU because who the ICU know talk.
So some people will say, I'm in ICU, so take me the way I am.
Then they will pull the button so that the ICU person will come out of it.
I'm going to be very private about it, but I had a story that broke my heart. A young man said to the wife, I want to share, I wish someone that is very close to me was around so I could share something that is bothering me. So the wife said, I'm here now, share with me. And he opens his mouth and says, my girlfriend got pregnant for me and I'm asking her to abort and she's saying no. Now, that's a man who is intentionally destroying his marriage and expects the wife to collapse.
Oh, that was very nice. That is the mortuary already.
For everybody listening, we need to see a bit of making mistakes is natural because our pace is different. But being ignorant, robbing it, and being intentional about hurting the other party is where we draw the line for everyone. So please, I wanted to say that because some people will now tell you that they will say, they must say we're in ICU, I'm in ICU. So we're drawing the line. ICU gets wearing stuff.
They give you medications and you're not responding. They pull off the plug.
Now pull up the plug, the person would, I hear you clearly. And then when maybe talking about this situation you just brought up, of the man who openly said to the wife that his girlfriend is pregnant and all of that. So let's imagine somebody is in that situation. Well, let's not even imagine. Sometimes maybe I will bring it to how they say, do unto others how you want others to do unto you.
Yes.
Because in that moment, the way the declaration came is a very incompassionate way of,
Exactly.
So when I'm thinking of it and I think of contempt, John Gottman has done in his research on the things that can kill a marriage. He identified 4 things and he said the greatest of them is contempt. For somebody to look at your partner and just blot out that, not even in a, should I even say, confessional way, and just like, is the highest form of disregard.
Yes.
Right? And so that even speaks to deeper issues beyond even girlfriend being pregnant.
Exactly.
What's the worth of this woman in that man's eyes? So it's beyond the girlfriend being pregnant, is a lot of other things. But thank you for bringing that up. I hope that people are getting the answers they need. And if you still have questions, you have Angie and Rich here and TeamDinmaNedum with you. So Angie, this one is important. You share that, I will also share we will share from our experience. So somebody sent in questions. So these questions were sent in by the moderator, who unfortunately is not here because she took ill and she has to recuperate. So she sent me this and said, how do you maintain a sense of connection and intimacy during times of conflict? Not when everybody is loving up, or when there is matter on the ground. How do you maintain connection and intimacy?
That's a very tough one. For starters, you must know that whatever conflict that comes in between both of you, you are on the same side. You are on the same side. You know, and don't apportion blame as it were. You're on the same side. Apportioning blame will not help anything. Then you also have to watch what you say at that moment of anger. Because the anger can, the whole thing, you can even win whatever you are, the conflict. But what you said in those anger moments will reverberate in the person's heart. When I'm angry, I can silence you with one or two words. That was my expertise.
You will tell me, what how do you put it now?
My mouth is a weapon of mass destruction. You know,
Your mouth is what?
The weapon of mass destruction.
Tell me.
No. Then I actually developed the way that if I don't want noise. I can say one or two things. You stop talking.
I'm telling you.
Not pleasant things, so not pleasant things.
So and one of the things I learned is, and I have to say that to everybody, is that you have to guard your heart, but leave the door of communication open.
Yes.
Guard your heart from offense and leave the communication door open. So for me, the key things I did was I had to say we are in the same team, but we do not address situations the same way.
Oh my goodness. Angie's I think they're frozen and we'll wait for them.
Okay, I'm here. Can you hear us now?
Yes,
go
you
on.
are in the same team, but you address situations differently.
So
okay, so I'm hoping that she comes on and continues this conversation.
sorry. I think we're having a little but we're back. Can you hear us? Hello.
Okay, go ahead now.
Go ahead.
So what Angie, we'll wait for them to come on. I will just pick up from there, and then when she comes on, she will continue sharing what she's talking about. So Nedum, what would you say to that question?
Okay, to that question, we've come to the understanding that our roles and responsibility to our marriage shouldn't stop when we are disagreeing or having a form of challenge. And I give, for example, if one has to bring money for certain things that have been agreed prior to that situation, you don't stop it. If you have a project to work together as a result of that, you don't stop it. What you are having is not, it's a temporary issue that communication can resolve. So having that basic understanding, so if I'm supposed to do a certain thing for her prior to that understanding, I don't stop it. I continue doing that. Now, what is the next thing we are going to do? Can we schedule a time to discuss this issue? So if it's an issue that we need 2 days, 1 day to have a deeper conversation, then we can schedule the time when our tempers are cool, when we think we can have a good sense of rational decision, and perhaps even when we have individually or collectively prayed for the wisdom to address such an issue. So while we know we are in the same team, we are just having a misunderstanding, and it is something that can be resolved. So with that idea and with that pattern, we are able to mellow down when we feel we're not feeling the vibes together, and knowing that this is something temporal. It shouldn't be a permanent issue in our relationship.
Before Angie comes, I'll add to what Nedum said. And the question was talking about how do we maintain connection and intimacy. And to be honest with you, on days that I am not feeling this man, maybe he has annoyed me. When it comes to Congo shining, I wouldn't be lying to you if I tell you I'm ready to shine any Congo when I'm not happy with you. That one is a fat lie. I'm not shining nothing. So Rich is my brother. We share plenty things in common. So I also sabi the silent treatment. So I can be in that room with you. I am not talking. You are doing your own thing. But so to be honest, and I think maybe this is the first time Nedum is hearing this. So because we say we are going to be vulnerable to share, so people can also learn from our experience. Love is one of my top strengths. Love is also Nedum's top strength, right? And I know that one of the ways that he relaxes when he's at home is to have me in his corner gisting with him, in as much as I also enjoy gisting with him. So sometimes when he annoys me and I want him to know that this thing you did is paining me, I will not gist with him. And I know he is not happy that I'm not gisting with him. But one day I had to tell myself that, this one you are using is, you are doing revenge, instead of doing, and then when I'm now doing the revenge, myself, I'm already used to chatting with him. So the room is so boring. And you know that when you are not talking with someone, that's when you know that 30 minutes is long. Because you're not going anywhere. You don't have anywhere to go. And I'm not Kukuma, the outing person that I'll say, let me carry my bag and go to somebody's house, right? So you now be in that room and you're watching something on your phone. The typical thing will be to come and see, you now remember, I'm not even talking to this person. So as the person is suffering, you are also suffering. So I've advised myself in later years that I will talk about this thing that is the elephant in the room, not for his sake, for my own sake, so that I can be free to be myself and to do the things that I want to do. And so one typical day, Nedum was supposed to consult me as we usually do before taking a decision. Next thing I saw the decision taking flying around. And I'm like, guy. And you know how from the day you're already knowing that today something is going to go down. So I'm like, should I not talk about this? Because if I talk about it, it will spoil the mood and the Congo will not happen that night. Then I told myself, no. And maybe it's because since I turned 40, I must be honest, is when I keep telling myself, because I'm 40 years, I cannot come and be doing nonsense. So I don't know whether it comes with the age or it comes with the awareness that I got at that time. But since I turned 40, there are some things I'm not, I like some things I don't even take anymore in terms of suffering for nothing. No. I say I'm too old to be suffering for what I can resolve. So I've already established that. So I still had that conversation, but in having that conversation, I will have it respectfully. And I was no longer scared. Before, I must tell you, I would not want to have that conversation so that I don't spoil the mood. But I realized that no, if we say that conflicts are opportunities for growth, we'll have the conversation and the mood will still happen based on how we're going to have that conversation. So Angie, are you back?
Yes, we are back. Sorry, everyone. Just in addition to what we're listening, we enjoyed your feedback on it. But just in addition, there was something. My husband is not that even if he played the silent treatment, it would have been better. It's the words he used to hurt you. He used words as like a shotgun. But one of the things I learned that we call the sandwich communication, which has really saved our marriage. The sandwich communication is appreciate who the person is, criticize or talk about the thing, that object immediately, then appreciate it again. So the person feels valued in spite of the correction. My husband has this joke in the house. So your mother can send you to hell, you won't know she sent you to hell. Because I'll say, my darling husband, I know the way I love you. Then I will hit it. And I'll come back and say, yeah, the apple of my eye. So he will be laughing. By the time he does on him that I just hit something big. So we must find ways to get our spouse to hear what we are saying. As I said, guard the heart, leave the door of communication open at all.
Not just to hear what you're saying and to act on it. Because there's nobody, if he hears it and he's not going to act on it, it's not changing anything. So you make it in a good way that the person will appreciate that. Okay. Like my wife at times, she'll say stories.
I hope you can hear us.
Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
You can hear you, yeah.
At times she'll say stories, maybe about us, but in a camouflaged way. Now I'm saying, that man is a bit wicked. You say, but that's what happened 2 weeks ago. I said, that's true. for me to get it and look at it and be able to act on it, it's important. You want to get some person on the same team and see what you're seeing that person hasn't seen, and it's causing conflict continuously in the home. Yeah.
Thank you so much. You want to say thanks to them? I just looked at the clock. I see it's 20:43. I'm like, oh my goodness, you can just be enjoying the conversation and you don't know how the time is going.
Exactly.
So I want to thank Angie and Rich for
Yeah,
this time.
yeah. Thank you, Angie and Rich. Wonderful, amazing moment, sharing our experience, skills, and knowledge to help families to become a better place and also the world a better place. We deeply not taking this for granted, and we really appreciate the friendship we have shared in diverse ways. Thank you, and God bless you tremendously in Jesus' name.
Amen.
And
Thank
in
you very,
addition
very
to
much.
that, we do not take for granted the open access, because Nedum was sharing about a season that was one of the toughest seasons for us in our marriage. That was navigating anxiety disorder, and I know how I would be in your house even in midnight, and all that. And so, yes, I want to say thank you. One of the support system that helped us through those trying times, and we never forget that. So maybe this is our first open
confession
appreciation post to Team Angie for being in our corner and for being, always receptive, always ready. Whether I'm calling Doc by 12 midnight, he will still speak and still. So thank you so much. The entire TeamDinmaNedum nation love and appreciate you now and always.
Thank you very much. We appreciate.
All right. So yes, so that's how the conversation has been. Thank you again to Team Angie and Rich. It's always good to see people who are vulnerable and sharing their own story. And so maybe now I want to just talk about why it's important, as at least if you're in marriage and you're hearing this, there's so much that you can do. It's not over yet. You still have a lot of conversations to have. And then for the people who are single, and you want to ask yourself now, wow, so all of those things they are saying, how do we even put it, particularly if you are engaged? It's important, like we shared on the first day, that that you can never fully understand a person, but there is much you can do if you go through an intentional preparation program, because like we like to say, you can never over-prepare for marriage, but you can under-prepare for marriage. So we like to also talk about the Preparing for Bliss project, and that is designed for people who are engaged, about to get married, dating singles who are in serious relationship, and you're saying to yourself, oh, should I propose? Is this the person? And of course, couples that are in the first 5 years of their marriage. Those are the people that Preparing for Bliss project is designed for. Because over the years, we've come to narrow down, there are 3 pillars that make for a strong marriage. And those are being a desirable, flourishing spouse, having a shared mindset with your partner, and thirdly, co-creating flexible systems that can help you turn your ideas of marriage into reality. And so we've worked that into a structured, comprehensive program called the Preparing for Bliss project. Over the years, like we saw Team Femi Adedoyi, the wife, shared on the first week, we have been offering the Preparing for Bliss project as a personalized one-on-one project, okay, where we take the couple through a 12 weeks program, and that comes at some premium price. Right now, we have a couple currently going through it, and the testimonials on how it is helping them refine their mindset has been amazing. So we said to ourselves, as part of our 20th wedding anniversary offering, we want to make that project a group experience. First of all, so that it's accessible to more people, because it's only both of us facilitating it. we reduce the number of intakes we can take because it can really be a stretch to spend 12 weeks with 2 people. Secondly, because of the costing, because to do the 12 weeks with us comes at about $1,000. But so some people want to do it and they say, oh, we can't afford that. So we say, what do we do? Let's make it a group program. So this is the first time that Preparing for Bliss project will be a group program. And for those who sign up during the month of July, we'll get it at the Love-A-Thon discounted rate of just 80,000. Now, the same value that people are getting at $1,000 is what you're getting for barely about $100, all right? So if you are engaged, if you are in the first 5 years of your marriage, if you are in a dating serious relationship, you want to take advantage of that, we're going to be sharing the link to access that. You can actually block your slots by just making a commitment fee of 30,000 naira and paying the 50,000 before the group project starts on September 1st. So if that is speaking to you, you want to quickly do that because there are certain things that when you start right, you are setting up your marriage for a lifetime of bliss. So on that note, I want to invite the person giving us the vote of thanks to come forward. And one of the traditions we do is that we recognize that our anniversary is the birthday of our family. So it's not just TeamDinmaNedum celebrating 20 years. The whole TeamDinmaNedum nation is celebrating our 20th birthday. And so that's why the Ks have been part of this at sessions where it is age appropriate for them. And so today we have K4, you want to turn on your video so that you will be spotlighted? Okay. So I'll remove spotlight and K4 will be giving us the vote of thanks. So go ahead. And where you are at is really dark. Go ahead and share your vote of thanks.
On the behalf of the case and by extension, the entire TeamDinmaNedum nation, I would like to thank you all for not only putting time aside to attend this webinar, but for your contributions, which made this session a transformative and a collaborative one. I would always say that my favorite thing about my parents' marriage is their commitment to anything they do, mostly to their tribe, which I see that it is reciprocated. So I know that I'm going to be seeing you next week, especially when we have Team Olare, where we'll be talking about the extraordinary connection, nurturing friendship, and intimacy. My sincere gratitude to all of you, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. Thank you.
I think